What is good, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Stay Attached podcast. Today we are joined by none other than Anthony Methodz Zinni, two-time Call of Duty champion, a content creator for OpTic, and just the leader of Zin City, man. He's always going crazy in the streams every single day. Anthony, Big Tony, welcome.
Good intro.
How you doing?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on. I was waiting to see when you'd ask me to come on.
I was waiting for the right time.
People. Yeah.
Listen. You know, you have to those are some like the filler episodes. Now it's like the stars are like coming out right now. So
Save
it's like
this for right now.
I need the big dogs right now to really like pump the views up and stuff. You know, to give the people what they want.
Absolutely.
And Zin, what the people want right now is they want to know, what would you rank OpTic, FaZe, and the rumored LAT team 1 through 3 right now if you had to do it on the spot?
If I had to do it and I had no other choice.
Black Ops 6 hasn't come out, so you have no other context. You're just going strictly off the rosters on paper.
All right. So if you're making me answer, I would say OpTic, FaZe, then Thieves.
Okay.
But my actual real life answer is that I think any of those three can beat any of them on any given day. So like I think Thieves will win an event. I think OpTic will win an event. I think FaZe will win an event. It all depends on timing, metas, who's ahead, who's playing well. It's just once you reach that, it's kind of like this past season, right? The top four all won all the events, right? Ultra won an event, OpTic won 2, FaZe won, New York won.
Yeah.
So these like top 3 teams now, I do think it's a top 3 team league now, assuming this Thieves roster is what we think it is. And I think they'll take turns winning, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sorry,
those 3 teams are insane.
And your team's gonna be up there as well.
What do you mean my team? I don't know what's going on. I don't know when this video is coming out.
Wherever you land, I think your team is also in the running.
Okay, thank you. Whatever team I can build, hopefully it's it becomes good. I appreciate the gas. First Phorm has been helping me so much throughout this off season. Go to shop, go to protein bars. These are my favorite bars right here. I eat at least one of these a day. Click here, level 1 bar, 15 count. They have so many different flavors. My personal favorite is the chocolate chip cookie dough. It is by far the best protein bar I've ever had. And the chocolate crunches are also very good as well. And you have to get the energy drinks as well. Berry Dream, the blue raspberry is my absolute favorite. There's so many different good flavors. Blue raspberry is always the one that does it for me. Guys, if you go to the gym, you work out, or you just want to use this for long hours of grinding for when Black Ops 6 is out, now is the time to get it. Just go to the links in the description down below. I'll also leave it in the comments as well, and check out First Phorm. You don't need to use a code attached or anything like that. The link to the website will be the code. But now, if you had to replace someone on any of those teams, and which team would you join?
I'll keep it in the family. I mean, I wouldn't want to replace Brandon, but if I had to replace, well, actually, I need to be smart about how I answer this.
Yeah, be smart about it.
I couldn't hurt the green wall, so I couldn't break out the team.
Yeah, that's true. That's messed up. You break him after they want a ring.
So I would have to take Scrap Spot just because he's a pussy.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be hearing something, a reply from Ernie at some point later on. But
I'll just take Scrap Spot.
So you, and then potentially Ghosty, Hydra, Envoy. I mean, that's a pretty good roster.
Again, though. I need to start smoking again.
Oh yeah, that room's gonna be filled up. It's gonna be insane.
I gotta reach back into my bag.
Yeah, we know you have that bag from way back when.
He's retired, man. That guy's retired.
You've turned a new leaf, and now, of course, you joined OpTic, like officially. It felt like you were always unofficially on OpTic. Like even when you were just streaming every day, when you were benched by Toronto and stuff, you're always like with Seth doing stuff whenever he was streaming. But then it was like you and Tom on the grind, and then you guys started the breakdown. How did that like all come to fruition? Because I know you were like still playing when it was all being talked about.
Yeah,
and like,
Seth's an asshole.
What happened for you?
Essentially, what our plan was Seth was going to finish. We were both going to finish out the year and then retire during the off season or whenever. We were both going to finish out the year, and I visited Texas. I visited Texas twice. I think I visited once to be on an episode of The Inner Circle. So OpTic flew me out. I did some content with them, and then I stayed at Seth's for like a week. And I have the time confused, but I came to Texas twice. One was for that. The other one was for the off season. Then I stayed and went to Seattle with everyone to see Seth and Iz get engaged.
Yeah.
So we were kind of just shooting the shit. trying to figure out what the future of content would look like. And we wanted to start some type of show. We wanted to do a watch party. Like we wanted to do content together. And he just jumped the gun, which put me in a spot where I had to make a decision that obviously you know what I made. I put the leather jacket on. I walked out there and I retired.
Yeah.
And I think, I talked about it with some close friends. I'd be lying if I said my heart didn't still want to play a little bit, but like at some point you got to look at things logically and just, at that point I looked at my future trajectory, what I wanted long term, and the reality is I wanted like career longevity, and I feel like it was a move I was going to make anyway. And sure, it was a little earlier than I would have liked it to been, but
Yeah.
it's still like the watch parties popping. Like it was kind of like this runaway train, and I kind of wanted to make sure I got on at the right time. So it was a mix of heart versus logic, and
Yeah.
logic won. So I'm happy with the decision I made. I still miss competing. I probably always will, but just based on the current ecosystem around esports, I feel like I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things too when you get to make a watch party on OpTic with someone like Seth, and like it's gonna be a success. There's no like, oh, it's kind of risky, it might not work out. Like you already know it's gonna work, and their OpTic, of course, is gonna take care of you because you've been around them for so long. So it's just one of those situations where it's just like, it sucks that you can't compete. You still want it. You love competing. You did it every day for decades, but it's like I gotta think long term now, everything, and just really set yourself up for the future, like you're saying. But yeah, I mean, the show's been great. The watch parties have been fun. Everything. Now, give us
sometimes fun.
Sometimes.
The only time
what
I
would you say
don't
is
like
not?
it, the only time I don't like it is when it just like 3 bad matches of like super shit teams. There's nothing better than like being able to watch the top, like the cream of the crop. Like when you see like any of the top, last year was the top 4, right? And any day we had a New York versus Ultra or OpTic versus FaZe, or you can mix and match them. Those are the best. And then you have those days where it's like, I think we watched over 300 matches this season, and some of those are great and some are not.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, come on, man, let's hurry through today to get to tomorrow, because we want to watch some good Call of Duty. But
For sure.
I can't complain.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's understandable because like sometimes it's just like 2 teams that aren't good. They're already out of the running. Like no one cares. And then it goes to a game 5 grueler, round 11. And you're just like, bro, can we just let's just get on with this. Why are we wasting each other's time? Because no matter what happens, it doesn't change the actual outcome of anything. So,
well, it's a format issue, really.
Sure.
Is what I really think. I mean, I think ideally, it's my hope that this year we return to like what we know works. Like, for example, 16 teams at events, right? 4 teams coming through challengers, having that old school pool play style. Just try and like bite back into what I feel like we've been missing for a while. And also, I hope they rework the online schedule to make it more impactful and meaningful, because it just drags out so long, man. Like there should never be 4 or 5 weeks in a row of online matches, right? You're just not going to be able to. Everyone has TikTok brain, bro. You're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get everybody on board for every single one of those matches. So you need to, like, in my opinion, compact it, make it a lot more high stakes and more action in like a shorter period of time. And then I think we all win, right? It'll be more fun for us in the watch party, more fun for viewers, more fun for players, just more smaller, impactful stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see some kind of like even just online tournaments come back like we used to play. We used to play 2Ks and 5Ks every Saturday and Sunday back in the day, and like AW and all those games where it was just so much Call of Duty would be played. And like imagine if they did a 2K tournament right now, how many viewers that would get. All the players would be streaming, so that would be thousands of viewers. Tommy would be watch partying, you and Seth would be watch partying, everyone would be watch partying, and it would just be like insane to another level that we've never seen, because we haven't had a 2K, and probably the last one we did was what, Black Ops 4 2019, and like I think that's when Seth got hosted by Ninja, and like they set some crazy like viewer record. But like imagine if they just did that instead of a boring format qualifiers that we've already been doing for 5 or 6 years at this point. It's like we need to switch something up.
I think they need to switch their mindset on it, because I mean right now, just to call it what it is, it's they want like every match streamed on the official Call of Duty League channel. And I think that's the biggest disconnect, where it's like you're not going to be able to get an old school 2K like that unless you just allow the players to stream it. And it's like it's still a Call of Duty League product, but how do you do it in a way where the league doesn't feel like they're being, getting the shorter end of the stick, right? Because Shotzi has viewers, Dashy, Celium, whoever, right? It's more split across individuals rather than one league product sort of eating all the viewership, and then they can
Yeah.
feed that data to sponsors and whatnot. So I think that they need to figure out that disconnect, because I do think we do need more high stakes. Like we can't afford to have 4 big tournaments a year, because what comes before those tournaments is just these slow burn, dragging out league weeks that
Yeah.
people don't really want to get behind, right? That like the majors always do great because people want to see these players compete in high level environments on the stage. And I feel like, the 5Ks and 2Ks, what we used to have, is the closest thing to that. So I agree. I just hope they can figure it out.
Yeah. I just have one little hot take. I think if we did in Black Ops 6 when it releases, 2 weeks after, maybe even a month after, if we do a online tournament with all the CDL teams, everyone watch partying, I think we set a viewership record in Call of Duty history. That would be the most watched Call of Duty tournament of all time.
It's not even a
Easily.
hot take. I've been spewing this for years. We have the luxury of, we have a product that releases pretty much a new game for the most part every single year. And
Yeah.
that's sort of our biggest advantage, is we get this influx of viewership at the beginning of the year every single year. And we don't really do anything with it. Like, it's just all these viewers come in, they watch these streams, but the COD League itself doesn't actually make an impact in that actual time frame, right? The
Yeah.
league doesn't start until months after. They need to figure out a way to capitalize on the influx of viewership, because realistically, once again, people have TikTok brain. There's competition now. I'm hoping Black Ops 6 is amazing and it keeps eyes a little more consistently throughout, right? Like, it doesn't have
Mhm.
this super influx and it sort of falls down. I'm hoping it's more steady. But either way, like, you need to capitalize in the beginning, the first month, when
Yeah.
everybody's watching and it's hot, viewership is high, and that's something that the league has never done. So I'm
Yeah.
really hoping that once again, because there are these things that we could do that I think will make a difference and can actually ultimately grow the league. So I'm hoping they do it.
Yeah, we definitely need to like freshen something up, change something up again to just not make it such boring 5-7 matches. Land, same thing. Gotta
Yep.
switch it up. But going back to like the old days when you were going to like those East Coast lands, give us a little bit of lore behind how you met like some of these people like Seth, BL Fire, Nade. Because I know there's that infamous photo with you guys holding money, right?
Oh yeah.
You were, big boned a little bit back then. But
Big
like,
boy.
how was those East Coast lands and everything like that?
The time of my life, brother. And I talked about this in the OpTic podcast literally yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Damn, let's go.
The I can't even like vocalize how awesome those days were before. You know, I always say a lot of players are pretty well off now, right? Like, I'm lucky enough to be in a good spot, but there was something amazing about just that young passion where you're going to play for a couple $100, and it was literally all about the competition, and it was like one big happy family growing up together. I mean, on the East Coast, right? We had me, we had Killa Sloss, we had
Yep.
Assassin, we had Twiz, we had BL Fire, we had Links. Like, we had all of the Spacely, Embos. We literally had a majority, a big portion, Zuma, a big portion of the Call of Duty community on the East Coast. And I would say a lot of us, our roots definitely, I mean, if you talk back to NJ Halo and local battles and Codzilla and Philly, it was, I mean, Nate Shot flew in for Codzilla, where that infamous photo came from. And I think we won it. And I think we each won $500. But Nate Shot's flying into a tournament to compete to win $500. Like, it was just a different time. It was
Yeah.
very passion driven. And we were kids, man. And there was just like innocence in the sense that, we'd go to school, we'd come home, we'd grind this thing. And we were kind of pioneers in the sense where, my parents weren't believers at first, because I'm quitting all my sports, I'm gaining weight. And they're like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
this wasn't as official as it was. And it wasn't until my dad spoke to Nate Shot in Philly. My dad was becoming more accustomed to it, but my dad's old school grinder, 4 jobs. He was out delivering newspapers at 6 a.m. He owns a landscaping business, a lumber company, owns
He's
a
like,
bar
what are
and
you
liquor
doing? You're sitting
store.
inside gaming all day?
Exactly. So it was just different, right? It was just a very different type of work that my dad was used to. But he spoke to Nate Shot. Nate Shot was sponsored by Red Bull at the time, and I think that convo is really what let my dad dive into it fully. Was like, Nate Shot was like, "Your son has a career here," and ever since then, I've had their full support. But
That's awesome.
the East Coast scene was one big happy family. To touch on how I met some of these guys, like, a lot of us grew up together. Like me, Bose, Spacely, like, we all knew each other because we were all New Jersey. We all went to all the events. So we had a pretty tight knit group. And then Seth would come to some because I think he was still in PA at the time, but not
Mm.
really. I think I met them officially first in Philly, and I met Nate. I was playing a tournament or a game battles match with Ego the Icon. Shout out Paul Megna,
Yep.
owner of 360 Icons, iconic
Yep.
tournaments.
Miss those
He
tournaments.
introduced me to Nade Shot, and we were playing a tournament together. And the first time I met Nade, he fucking raged at me because I was young. I had a shit mic, and back then the 840s with the mix amp, if it wasn't perfect, it would make this high pitched noise. He was in a clutch, and my mic was screwing up, and I'll never forget. He screamed at me and yelled at me, and I'm like, damn, dude, what an asshole. But that's when I first met him. The Pro-Am gets announced in Philly. They know me and BL Fire as top amateurs. We're young guys, so Seth and Nade pick us up for that, and we go to Philly. We win it, and the rest is history. Kind of just hit it off with those guys. And I was kind of the golden child, really, a bit.
Yep.
Outside OpTic, and then I got high and blacklisted them, and that was obviously infamously the biggest mistake in my career. Unfortunately, wish I could go back and fix that one.
It still worked out though. It still worked out. You know,
it worked out, and I'm a firm believer that I wouldn't be the human I am today if that didn't happen, because that was the first time I felt consequence to actually fix my actions. I would get in trouble in school a lot. I was the class clown. I was the asshole. I would get suspended, detention, the whole 9 yards. But my parents really couldn't, punish me because I was making money playing games. My mom would be like, take it away. And my dad would be like, no, he's making money. There was this weird disconnect. And the OpTic blacklist was the first thing that showed me that my words and actions have consequences. And that definitely was like my first step. And I think really, really maturing and thinking a little bit. I still fuck up, of course, but thinking a bit more before I speak.
Yeah.
Because back then it was just different, bro. I mean, back then, like, I think I had like 30 or 50K subs, and I was 15 years old, and every like Call of Duty multiplayer was the hot thing.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I kind of just didn't take it serious for a while. I was smoking a lot of weed. So, an overall big career fuck up for me around that time, but luckily landed on my feet. But a lot of lore really behind me and a lot of these guys, where we came from and time of our lives, brother.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like, I forgot who I was talking to about it, but I would say like the richest I've ever felt was probably when I was, I think, like 14 or 15. Like, I won a free for all at like a MW3 LAN event, and I won $100 from winning the free for all. And that drive back, like, I imagine myself, you know that video of DJ Khaled where his like his shirt's unbuttoned in the back of like the Maybach, his flowing through the wind. That's how I felt after I won $100 at like 14 or 15 years old. Like, that was just the best moment of my life, and I was just like, I just didn't care about anything, because like back then it was just a different feeling. Like, it was just straight passion, and there wasn't a job or a career for anyone at that point, really. It was just
no worries, man. I mean, we like, you're living under your parents' roof. You're never paying a bill in your life. Your parents are covering everything, right? Like, Dad, I'm going out to eat. I need money for food, right? They're covered. Like, there was no stakes, right? It was all just fun and free, and there was actually no real stress in it. And it was just, it was truly bliss looking back on it. I mean, I can relate. Like, you win one of those tournaments and you just feel like the man. It was also different back then too, because gaming wasn't cool. So I had like
oh no, you had to be low key. Oh, for sure. I had two Twitters for sure.
Yeah, like no one in school knew I was a pro gamer, right? Like Methodz and Anthony Zinni were two very different people, and like it wasn't until I think maybe my junior year that I started like actually sharing it, and then that was still when I lost weight my senior year. I was partying a lot and still neglecting Call of Duty. So that's when it became a little cooler, I think. It's like towards the later end of high school. And then Ninja made it cool. Like Ninja, I think, is the one who really made gaming cool.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, like, pro gamers are fucking cool,
Yeah. No, he just made it super mainstream, especially that stream, which is like Drake, Travis Scott, and everyone like that. Just like normalized it for so many people, because everyone low key played games, but it just wasn't talked about it as much back then. Like, it's such a common story that everyone was Hannah Montana, had a gaming Twitter, a normal Twitter, and it like wouldn't tell their in real life friends about gaming at all, really. So it's pretty crazy to look back on. But when did you first start getting into gaming? Not even competitive yet, just starting video games.
Oh man, I mean, I was a big gamer, but casual games. Like I was playing sports, so I'm playing games like Madden, and I was doing the WWE SmackDown vs. Raw wrestling games. I was a big Sly Cooper guy, Crash Bandicoot, Club Penguin, kind of just like the normal Guitar Hero Rock Band, just like the fun, innocent, casual games.
Yeah.
And then my neighbor named Ray, he had an Xbox 360. I was always a PS2 guy, so I wasn't really playing online yet. It was just once again very casual solo games. And then I started playing Call of Duty 4 multiplayer at his house on his 360, and I just fell in love, man. I mean, that was just the
Yeah.
time of my life. So I was trying to go to Ray's house as often as I can to play some COD 4. And then I started getting into the online stuff. I think it was Christmas. I might have this backwards. I know my parents bought me, I think, the PS3 with MW2 for Christmas as soon as it came out. And I'll never forget playing the campaign on the big screen. And my whole family, because, you know, my family hosts Christmas. So
Oh,
I
okay.
just set the PS3 up to our main TV and I'm playing the campaign and everyone's around watching me. And ever since then, just I truly and utterly was addicted and loved Call of Duty with everything in me. I mean, when I was at school, I was thinking about Call of Duty. And that was just pubs, man. Then I found game battles and like then, you know, the sports side of me, because I'm a very competitive person. Honestly, probably more so when I was a kid. I had anger issues, bro. I would smash things. I would throw headsets, throw controllers, throw
Yeah,
shit around my room. Like
we
I was
were
a
all
fucking
there.
psycho.
We were all there.
And I'm very calm now, but I was very competitive. So when I found a way to compete competitively in Call of Duty, I was all in. It was all I could think
Yeah.
about. Fuck school, fuck everything else, fuck sports. Like I love this, and that's truly where it came from.
And what game would you say that really was when you just were locked in on competing in Call of Duty?
Competing, okay, so
Well, it could be like game battles.
I would
It could
say
still be game battles, like your start to your competitive career, I guess.
it was dude. So I was a radar always on kid. So I was playing MW2. Trying to think of in what order they all came out. MW2, and then it was MW3. Or was it World at War before
No.
MW3?
World
Do you
at War was
remember?
after COD 4.
Oh, it was COD 4, World at
World at
War,
War.
MW2, MW3.
Maybe BO1.
Hold on, I'm looking
When
up.
was BO1? Yeah, because I don't
I'm
know the
looking it up right
exact
now.
like
Hold on.
dates and stuff
Hold on.
in the years.
Call of Duty releases in order. Okay, so we had. Okay, so it went COD 4 to World at War to Modern Warfare 2 to Black Ops, then to MW3. Okay, so I'll
Okay.
tell you exactly. So now that I see it, now I know. I was really full in on game battles in World at War. That was like bolts only, radar on,
Yeah.
maybe some no radar search. Like I didn't really know about MLG, actual super competitive stuff. And during MW2, there was an MW2 Winter Showdown casted by Fwiz and Hastro. And I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like, "This is awesome." I'm watching like Assassin and Dodgers and this Team Fear and AOX
The
Clayster
OGs. Yeah.
and Nex. I remember Nex vividly in the cockpit of Terminal with a tar wall banging. But this is awesome. They're getting, you know, casting, and that's when I really like wanted to actually compete competitively. And I would say then so like towards the end of MW2 and then Black Ops, I'll never forget me and my school friends got a scrim versus Fear. Seth was on Fear at the time, and I
What?
dropped like 50 on Fear and beat them on a map, and it's on my old YouTube, and I can't find it, but I would do anything to find it.
All right, you heard that. Everyone go look for Zinni dropping 50 on Team Fear back in the day.
Bro, I don't think they'll be able to find it. It's like so far back, but so that was a vivid memory for me. And then in MW3 is when I really went full in on Variant. I was still playing a bit of radar, but it was a lot more like me and Brian Saint were kind of notorious for being really good at 2v2 search. Like we won a lot of locals with 2v2 search. And that was like my breakout game, right? Like that was just like where I really started coming up, playing with Seth and Nade more, and that was like my breakout game was MW3.
Become more of like an
Ops 2,
established player. Yeah.
I solidified myself as the youngest professional player in the world at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Was on SOAR.
How old were you?
I was 15 or 14. I think it was 15. I think I just turned 15. But I was on SOAR. Banks recruited me to SOAR. We had a team, me, Bose, Fluff, Funk. And then Funk was great. He retired.
Was it Heist? Was Heist on there at some point?
Tyson
Or was
was
that
on FaZe
FaZe?
with
That
us
was
after.
FaZe? Okay.
So I forget the team I went pro with. I think it was me, Bose, Fluff, and it was either Mosh or Lawless. I forget, bro. It was some mix of those, dude.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking it up right now. Odd Wikipedia methods, only because I need to know. Anyways, Banks goes to FaZe, then I go to FaZe, and like the rest was history. But
Yeah.
that was a very fun time.
That must have been crazy. Like Black Ops 2 Anaheim, because that was my first major LAN I went to, and that's what just changed it all right there. Just playing
Yeah.
at that tournament, they seeing all that in person, like competing at it, insane. It was so much fun.
I joined SOAR in July 2013, and I left for FaZe in December 2013.
Yeah, roster moves were, roster mania was always after every event back then. People were just sketching on everyone, forming new teams every single day. It felt like it was just, there's no
Oh,
contracts.
sorry, no,
nothing.
hold on, no. I joined in November of 2012,
Damn.
and then I left in May of 2013. Then I think I went back to SOAR. Dude, this is
Okay.
a crazy time. And then I was too young to compete at champs.
Yeah,
so
and Ghosts, right?
So Saints took my spot.
Or Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2.
Wow.
That was
So you missed
when
Black Ops 2 champs as well?
I missed 3 in a row. And that was when my stock was like super high, and I'd be on these like solid teams, and then I get dropped. Like our FaZe Red team and
Yeah.
Ghost was solid. Me, JCap, Classic. Was it Bose? I forget, bro. But I had these good rosters that actually could have made some serious money, and I was very good when I was young. And I was
Yeah.
too young, man.
It's just
They didn't let me
unfortunate.
compete.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
But it's okay, because soon after you weren't able to compete at COD Ghost Champs, we teamed together on Curse Youth, man. What a time that was. You, me, Chino, Derek Realize, all just young kids, young dumb kids. I don't even know what it was like scrimming and stuff. Of course, the infamous "you can't wallbang it" that attach happened right there. That's a legendary moment in Call of Duty for sure. That soundbite is one of my favorite things to hear. You're yelling at me
Not one of my favorite things to hear.
I'm 2-8 after we lose the series because of that. We would have 2-0'd the team because there was only a best of 3. We would have 2-0'd Curse LV. I choked that round 11. I'm 2-8. I'm costing badly. Derek realizes like I fucking hate you attach right after the round ends.
I told you exactly what to do too. I gave you the play. You were zoned out. You ignored me.
Listen, I shot a trophy. I was getting hit markers on the trophy. You could see the sparks flying above the fence. I was like, "Oh, I'm shooting him."
Man, just go to the right. Go look and kill him off the bomb through the hole.
I wanted to be fancy, and then it just didn't pay off. Like it didn't work.
You're 2-8. You can't be fancy. If you were 8-2 and you were trying to be fancy, I'd be like, all right, okay.
He's feeling himself.
He can do whatever he wants. Yeah, that's sort of Curse Youth is when I really entered a dark path. That was when I really stopped taking things serious, because I think that's when I got dropped from FaZe because I was too young, and I was just demoralized, and I was smoking a bunch of weed, and I was making homemade dabs with my boy, and I was definitely a shit teammate at that point, so I do apologize. And we were also like funding ourselves. Like Curse had a main team that they funded, and we were like Curse Youth. And we had to stream on MLG.TV to generate our own funding revenue.
Yeah, to get to events.
I'm like, bro, what am I fucking doing here? That was just an interesting time.
Yeah.
But still looking back, like still the time, like just the times of our life before this shit really became mainstream. And once money gets involved, everything kind of changes, right? Like the passion, it's still there, but it's just a different type of passion. It's more of a job now.
Yeah, for sure.
So wish I can go back for a day, man.
And then, I feel like you really made a big resurgence back in World War II as well. That's when you were on, I think, you were on Next Threat with Doug at the beginning. And then you kind of like climbed the ranks to eventually get to Rise.
I wish you could see what I was doing, because it was me, BL Fire, Study, and maybe Nagafin, or I think it was something like that. But we had this team, and no, it was me, BL Fire, Study. I forget, but I was pitching the team in like orgs like Dignitas and CLG. I was talking to these different orgs trying to get funding and get an org. And Dignitas wanted me to screenshot all of our scrims. And I am just dropping 50 and 45 against everybody we play. Like I am walking on water. I stopped smoking weed. Like, this is when I told myself, like, I need to make it back. Like, I am very good. Like, even IW, I was very good at.
Yeah.
I didn't break through. And I told myself in World War II, I need to make it back to the top. Like, I've been out for too long because we skipped over it, but I took a break and I chose X Games over prom over X Games, which is one of the worst mistakes of my life.
Oh yeah, that's
I
a
lost, I was losing weight and I'm kind of riding this high of like partying and having a social life and talking to girls more just because I was this fat gamer kid my whole life and my whole life has been video games. So to get like a taste of like, I guess, real social life type interaction, like
yeah.
I was kind of running with it and I kind of neglected Call of Duty. And I thought that when I did return, I could just walk back to a top team. Like I'll never forget. I hit up JCap to join Envy when I came back, and he was like, "Bro, it doesn't work like that." I was like, "Cap, like I'm good. Like
You're
it's
like
me.
you,
Like I can."
yeah.
I'm like, "Brother, what are you talking about?" And it just didn't work that way. And I was kind of in this cycle of hell of just open bracket. Played for Echo Fox, who was an incredible organization, but I just couldn't break through. And World War II was like, I need to make it back. And then I go play with Doug. I'm still, I was insane at that game. Like I felt like a god amongst men in World War II.
Yeah.
And we get this lucky break where I think Yuli Aqua didn't have his passport renewed or something. So Rise couldn't go to a tournament in Canada. And we were the next team to take their spot with pro points. And I go there and I just fucking shit on everybody. Like 40s, 50s, 15 in search. Like everyone was like, holy shit. And that's when I had the offers, to E6 and to Rise. I joined E6 for like, I think it was 8,000 a month. And I was like, holy shit.
It's pretty good.
But our team sucked because Dashy wanted to leave. It was me, Dashy, General, and I forget the fourth. And I'll never forget, on Christmas Eve night, I called the owner of E6. And I think a lot of people had negative opinions about that org. But I was like, listen, man, I made a mistake. I know I signed to you guys, but I really want to join Rise. Dashy doesn't want to be here. Like, I would really appreciate it if you let me out of the contract. And he's like, man, go, you know what? Sure, go to Rise, no problem.
Damn.
And I really appreciated that act because I was very stressed. I was like, I need to win a tournament. I need to win.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity on Rise to form the team, and then we did it. And it was just, I wish I could have stayed on Rise longer, man, because we were good.
Yeah, no, you guys were really good. You guys won what? Atlanta? You won Atlanta?
We would have won Birmingham, and if we weren't playing on those monitors,
Oh, the Yamas?
I guarantee, I promise with everything in my being, we were winning that tournament. And
Yeah.
everybody, Looney, Tej, Gunless, they'll all say the same thing. Like, we were just awful with the delay, but like, without question, I am 1,000,000% positive we would have won that tournament.
Yeah.
If the Yamas weren't a thing.
That was a tough one.
And we got upset at season 1 playoffs, and that's when I got dropped because Castro didn't sign Slasher to a contract. All of Envy was uncontracted. Even Formal hit up Rise to join, and they kept me over Formal. But the one player that they would have replaced me for was Slasher because Looney really wanted to play with him, so they did it.
And he just happened to be available.
Yep. So
that's just unlucky.
It always makes me think what could have been, man.
Yeah.
Then I joined TK, and they dropped Chino for me, right? I think it's me, Lamar, Kenny, F3, RIP F3.
Yeah, of course.
We go to Seattle. F3 had the wrong settings on, so he wasn't playing too hot before Sunday. And then on Sunday, he just started frying because he finally realized he had overscan off or whatever this.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Using. And if he had that setting beforehand, who knows what would have happened? But then I got the OpTic offer and
the dynasty. How was that? How was being on that team?
We could have done a lot more. I'll tell you that. We were great in the regular season, but
you guys were good at hardpoint. You guys were good at hardpoint.
I mean, OpTic wanted John or Zuma because they wanted an SMG, which made sense, right? They go and get Octane. It made sense to have an SMG on that team.
Yeah.
And Zuma gets an offer from FaZe for like $20K a month.
They
can't refuse.
They bumped up his salary a lot.
So OpTic made the move for me. OpTic made the move for me, knowing that if they don't get Zuma, like they were okay with keeping me. It wasn't like I was a good fail-safe, but I wasn't. They wanted an SMG.
Yeah, right? It wasn't the roles. Like the roles just didn't match.
Yeah, we tried to make it work the best we can. We were great in league matches, but obviously we never put it together on the main stage. But that team's vibes, like we had so much fun in game, out of game. We were going to the gym, we were going to restaurants together. Like it was such a good team culture. We had Coach TP behind us.
Yeah.
It was a great team culture, but Lamar hated me at the time.
He did have you muted.
He muted on Mumble. He wouldn't even talk to me for months because
he left.
I wasn't under contract with TK yet. And I called him and I woke him up out of his sleep and I was like, yo, I'm joining OpTic. And he was like, okay, that's cool. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he really woke up and he called me back 20 minutes later. You're a fucking snake. You're a fucking bitch, blah, blah, blah. So he hated me for a while, but I mean, I got offered. I mean, it's once again, I got an OpTic offer and
you got to take it.
At that point, I mean, you go play with Seth and Krim and
yeah,
I really wish that roster panned out a bit better, but yeah, that's kind of how it all went.
Yeah. And then wait, wasn't there a story that you said of like Porter, obviously
leaving the book?
Leaving the book.
I was so good at World War II. I was so consistent. I really do like to think of myself as a pretty realistic guy. I'm not delusional. I think I was the most consistent and best player on our team at the time. Whether anybody agrees or disagrees, that's the way I felt. And I had one bad league match, and Porter, me and Seth went out to World of Beer. We just got some wings. We were eating dinner, whatever. And then I came back, and in front of my door was the book Mind Gym. And I'm like, bro, this guy's a fucking psycho. Like in front of my closed door. Like the way, so me, Sam, and Teep shared an apartment, and then Seth and Krim shared one.
Yeah.
So Porter, but they were like next door, but Porter walked into our apartment and left that book in front of my door, then walked back to his. I'm like, bro, what's wrong? You're a fucking sicko, dude. You're a
That's
sicko.
something only Porter would do.
I know. Yeah, that's how that went.
Yeah, that went. World War II happened. Of course, wasn't like the ending you guys wanted. Had the whole Champs thing happen, that debacle. And then Black Ops 4 comes out. I feel like it was, oh yeah, that's when we picked you up on FaZe. That's when we teamed again. That's when we teamed again.
I'll also die on the hill that if I took that team serious, okay. What happened was I was in my first actual relationship when I joined FaZe in 2019. And once I was just so not in the game mentally, like a dumbass. And I was just, if I was mentally there, I would be very good at that game. If I was locked in on that team, and if I was locked in, we would have been better, obviously. And also, if Crowder decided to retire a little bit early and we kept me on main and picked up MC, we would have been unreal. I think that way. If my head was in the game, we would have been good. But I fucked that up, obviously. We don't need to.
This is disappearing after every scrim just for 5 to 10 minutes. Every map, he's just like, Zinni's like, I'm just going poop, bro. Like,
bro, we got reverse swept at 2 a.m.
Oh, that was
Reciprocity. We were shitting on them.
Yeah.
And I think that was to secure what?
I don't know. It would have been like top 8, top 6, or something like that.
12, top 8. But it would have granted us an extra day.
Yeah.
We definitely had the pieces to make something happen. But that was a tough. I'll never forget when you guys were walking down the street to get ice cream without me, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like, I had to go get my wallet from the room, and I came down, and you guys were already down the road. It was like you, Tommy, and I was like, oh shit. Me and Tommy are sharing a room. He's like, nah, bro, we're not making changes. The whole time, Tommy was spearheading changes.
Wait, what did Ben say? Ben was like, oh, you want to come with us? Like, after we told you you're dropped or something?
You guys dropped me on a rooftop.
Yep, rooftop in Hollywood.
He was like, what are you about to do? You want to come get sushi with us? And I was like, bro, Ben, what the fuck are you talking about? No, I don't want to go get sushi with you guys, man. Of course I don't.
That's good old Ben J, man. Good old Ben J. Black Ops 4 wasn't really anything crazy, of course. Your team got 1v2 to Anaheim by Ricky.
We got 1v2 by Ricky. I lost 1v1 versus Skies. It was a year of disaster. It was a very, very tough, disastrous year.
Yeah. Breakdown after breakdown.
And I was able to secure a spot on my favorite city now in the world, Toronto. And I loved living there. Won a tournament in Toronto. Felt like the man. Just loved that city, right? Met a lot of friends and family from that, like just like people in the city that I started becoming friends with. It was just
you met everyone. You met Nav. You met like famous hockey players. You just knew people in the city now.
Yeah, I mean, even now, I mean, when I'm in Toronto, it's weird. I know everybody. It's like crazy. It's just a very small city once you know everybody.
Yeah.
And then I get benched, and that kind of took me by surprise because I was playing very well. And I will also die on the hill that if they just kept me around for longer and the Krig meta became a thing, 'cause I just wasn't that good with the M4. I like jumping too much.
Mm-hmm.
We would have been unreal because like in challengers, I was playing Pro 8s every night and I'm top damage every single map. Like I was really good at Cold War. Like it actually, no bias, could be my best game of all time.
Really?
1,000,000%. But luckily, everything happens for a reason. And then I started streaming a lot, and that's when
Yep.
things kind of took off. I mean, that was really the infamous Toronto door. Me and Zuma streaming together nearly every day. I was the flank guest of the year. I was
Yeah.
I was streaming 12 to 14 hours every single day. I'd wake up and I'd play League play and I'd play Challengers scrims and then I'd play Pro 8 and then I'd play GTA. It was the perfect storm. Um, Also a lot less saturation back then. Like me
Yeah.
and Zuma were just like the guys to watch. And it was amazing, man. I mean, I was waking up every day on top of the world and to go from being so stressed, because once I found out I was benched, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And like it wasn't like I had like I people knew who I was. I had a fan base, of course. I've been around for a while, but like when I would stream Warzone when I was a player on any given day, I get 50, 50 viewers. Like it wasn't like
Yeah,
I
wasn't
go
anything crazy.
live and I get 1,000 viewers. I had to build it, and I did it, and it was I mean the rest is history. So luckily the Zen City's still kicking.
Oh yeah, you're leading him great.
Yeah.
The buildings are filled up. Everyone's in the penthouses, different apartments.
Oh yeah.
Before
nice.
when you got benched, like right before, did you feel like a vibe where you were gonna get benched, or was it just a straight surprise, like out of nowhere?
I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't like crazy shocked because they picked up Insight. So Insight's a main AR. I'm like, okay, this guy is literally a main AR. So the one option to break into the starting roster is a main AR. He's not a flex. He's a main. Vance, him and Vance started hanging out more, like personally, and I was like, here we go. Like it was just, I felt it a bit. I didn't think it would happen that early because I was still playing very well.
Yeah.
I was making some mistakes, like. Contrary to popular belief, I was playing a little too fast. Like me and Cammy were playing too similar, where I wasn't like blocking. Like instead of sitting top fin on checkmate, I'd slide off and go hit plane. Like I would just kill whoring a bit. But yeah, once again, it happened. It sucked.
Yeah.
I still wanted to play, and that's when I almost went to Thieves. That would have been interesting because Thieves reached out to Ultra. And Ultra just said no, which was insane. They just weren't even willing to offload me, even though I was a substitute. But either way, they wanted to stick with Draws because he actually played very well. At that time, Draws was like an unknown variable.
Yeah.
And
they had him on the bench going into that year, I think, right?
Exactly. So he was set to fill in. I forget for who. I think I was going to replace Slasher, I think.
Yeah, I know they benched Donnie first, then eventually they benched Slasher, and then...
They benched Slasher, and they tried Draza. And I don't think they were expecting Draza to be as strong as he was. And they were trying to get me. And either way, Ultra shut it down, and then they decided to keep Draws anyway. But that would have been an interesting thing if I went over to LA Thieves.
Yeah.
And it kind of grateful it didn't happen because once again I was able to build something pretty long standing since. So that's the way it's all crumbled.
Yeah. But you didn't officially retire yet. You still came back. You played for Boston Breach, another great organization. How did that whole offseason roster mania go? How did you form your team? Did they come to you and like, yo, we want you to lead our team? You're the guy we're building around. How was that?
At first we thought it'd be Washington DC. It would be the Washington.
Oh yeah.
Cast. But the only
I remember that rumor.
I didn't have any contact with anybody from Washington or Boston for a while. All I knew is that I was streaming everything. Everyone kind of knew that I was their front runner to get the last spot just based on my brand size at the time and how good I was playing. And I think I formed a team of Paul X, Tej, and Venom because I felt like that was the strongest roster to form going into a new CDL team.
Mm-hmm.
Then Boston gets the spot. I start talking to Dens. I vouch for TJ heavy. I'm like, I need to bring Tej with me. And then they wanted to take some risks. So luckily Boston gave me the opportunity. I think it was between like me and Assault, and I was like, bro, Dens, come on, man. Like let's play. So Boston picks me up gratefully. They give me a shot that I really wanted and needed because I didn't want to retire. I wanted to keep competing. Like my love for the game was still unmatched.
Mm.
And they wanted to take some risks. So I know Nero was very good in LAG, so I was happy to pick Nero up. And Capsule was like the question mark where we heard about this young crack kid, plays like Search 8s. He's just this cracked unknown variable. And everyone sees these new guys coming up, like who's the next Simp, who's the next Abizi, who's the next Shotzi. And for us, it made sense to go take a risk on Capsule, and that really upset the challengers community because he had
Yeah.
no accolades that supported us picking him up. Like there were people that were winning in challengers that could have deserved the spot more, but we just saw a young crack kid who we think we could mold into a better player, and the risk worked out because Cap was very good. And we kind of knew that we'd have fail safes, right? God forbid Cap blows, we can go get so and so from challengers, right? So
Mhm.
it was kind of like a high risk where we'd still get a decent reward if it didn't work out. But
Yeah.
Cap sort of worked out, and I loved that Boston team, man. We had a lot of fun there. I was the best player in the world, in my opinion, stage 2. And then, we just couldn't. Champs will always haunt me. That 5-5 round versus Thieves.
round 11 versus Thieves, who end up
Because
going to win champs.
people think I sound delusional, but if we would have won round 1 versus Thieves, we go on to play OpTic.
It changes everything.
Inder was hurt. Like, we're riding momentum from beating Thieves round 1. We go play OpTic with a hurt Inder for top 3. Everyone's going to say, oh, OpTic would have mopped you, blah, blah, blah. No one knows that. Like, we literally could have secured top 3 at champs if we won that match.
Yeah.
So that breaks my fucking heart. It truly does. Because if we broke at a top 3, anything can happen at that point. I mean, you're riding momentum. All it takes, my whole career, I've said, all it takes is one match to catapult a team to a whole new level. One match. Yeah. It's all confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like if you go back, even when OpTic won Major 3 this past season, when they won the Invasion S&D after Brandon's clutch, that was the momentum they needed to win the tournament. Like after that moment,
everyone
it felt like it was in their favor.
Much better, bro. It's like this unspoken thing where everybody starts making the right plays. Everyone starts winning gunfights.
Yeah.
It's just like this aura fills the air.
Literally.
And everyone's like a super soldier. It's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, but you need like that. There's always, when you win a tournament, that one big match that win or you clutch up, and then you're like, okay, this is our tournament now. Everyone just feels it. Even if it's unspoken, everyone just feels and knows how it's going right now.
Yep.
So that was crazy. Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah, don't worry. I got reverse swept by New York Subliners MW2. Then they went on to win the tournament as well. So stuff happens like that all the time from round 1 into COD champs. But putting those bad things aside, actually, we're going to talk about another bad thing, I guess you could say, if it's bad in your eyes. When did you know that you were retiring? What was the moment you're like, okay, it's done? That you decided after the whole Texas thing, you talked to Seth, but what was the exact moment?
Seth jumped the gun and retired. And he started texting me saying, yo, I'm early, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bro, I don't think I'm ready to retire. Then I talked about it more, and I started consulting some of my close friends and people close to me, my family, and, pretty much everybody was like, this is a move that you should make just because this opportunity with the watch party that has so much steam, and no one really told me I shouldn't do it. Everybody was like, this is something you should do, especially at this time, right? Beans is picked up as a substitute. My spot was safe on Boston, like they assured me. I mean, Boston even said to me, like, if we offered you a blank check, would you even stay? And, they assured me, like, you're still starting going forward. Like, even if you don't, if you don't retire, you're still starting. Like, right now, your spot's not in jeopardy. So, like, they assured me of those things before I retired.
Mm-hmm.
But I really decided on the day of I retired. I was in a bakery with Denz, just walking, and he's like, you kind of need to decide because he said, if you retire, I think it makes sense for you to do it here in front of the home crowd, on the big stage, on the stream. Like, this is your big impact moment. If you're going to do it, you should do it now, today. And I of course was leaning that way for the month prior. I was talking to Seth a lot. We were talking about show ideas and the watch party, and I was leaning towards that way. But when it really came time to do it, I was like I had cold feet, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to retire. I went out there and did it, and the rest is history. That was a very emotional. I'll never forget. I don't think anybody knows this. Actually, nobody knows this. The final match when we lost OpTic, the night before I retired, I was very emotional. I'll never forget. We walked through the VIP area. I saw my parents. I kind of just started bawling, crying, and I just turned around and walked back to the venue. And I'm just sitting there bawling, crying, looking at the stage from the rafters up there,
Yeah.
like the second story, by myself. I'm just like bawling, crying, just like looking at the stage. And then Denz came out and like gave me a hug, and he was like, just like, be happy it happened. Don't be sad. It's over. And then I retired the next day. So I was very beaten up the whole night when we got eliminated, and I kind of knew I was going to retire.
Yeah.
But the next day I was actually pretty chill. I went out there and I did it, and it felt like this weight was off my shoulders, and I was kind of the king for a day. I mean, everybody's tweeting me, great career, congrats. And at the bar, everyone's talking to me like, congrats, you had a great career. Like, so it felt good to be the man for a day. And yeah, the rest is history, man.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. I remember I just choked versus FaZe to get into grand finals. A nice 5-3 lead game 5. And then I go on Twitter. I see, oh shit, Zinni's on stage. He's retiring. I was like, what the? I was like, hold on, let me tweet Zinni real quick. But yeah, that was a bad day for both of us, I guess you could say. It was a bad day for both of us.
It was, well, and my parents were driving home too, so they were like 45 minutes away. Because, oh my god, my parents really wanted to know if I wanted to retire that day, and I told them no, I'm not going to do it. So they started driving home. Then I called them and said I am going to do it, and they drove back. So
oh god,
like an hour away, they drove back. My parents got there in time. They saw me do it. That was emotional. My parents were caught on camera crying. My sister, my brother. It was definitely an emotional day, but a decision I made for. I'm a firm believer that the only thing you can do is make decisions that you think are best at the time that you make them.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, no one can really blame you, right? Like, you got to know what's best for yourself. And part of me, it does eat me up a bit because I feel like I gave up on that team, and that hurts me. Like, I hate the feeling that I quit on guys, because we actually had a pretty good team, and it does eat me up sometimes that I feel like I abandoned my team, and I hate that. And I wasn't really thinking of that way at the time. But that feeling does eat me up because we had a very good team, and once again, everyone kind of gives me more shit than I ever got before now,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone kind of assumes I'm way worse than I really was now for some reason. I guess I was the worst ever. People kind of talk about me.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. They always like, you're like the butt of the jokes now. Because I think probably because like some of the other players who like you've been good friends with stuff will say it, but then like how the community just like parrots the things that they say. They're gonna just say the same thing. So like they're thinking like, oh yeah, Zinni was just terrible at all times. When in reality, you're a pretty good player. Like
So, but that's what it is. But that's the one thing I sometimes struggle to sleep with and come to terms with, is that I quit on guys that I felt like we actually could have done something together.
Yeah.
But just gotta live with it,
But it's all good. Like, yeah, you're gonna have regrets in your life at some point, no matter what it is. You're gonna have some regrets. So if you didn't retire and you kept playing, who knows? The year goes terrible. OpTic for some reason,
it goes great. You truly never know.
You never know. OpTic for some reason doesn't want you at the end anymore. Like the watch party's already popping. Like you come on, but someone else is already like the two main guys already. Like who knows what happens? It's just a whole different world. So it's best to just do it, live with it, move on. But yeah, like I said, you joined OpTic. I mean, everyone kind of knew that was coming, that you were going to be joining OpTic. How did that feel, just going from scrimming every day to now you're in OpTic in Texas or doing content every day? What was like the schedule change different?
Well, I think I enjoyed it a bit too much for a bit. Like me and Seth were just hanging out, eating, drinking. Like it was more I didn't put my head down and grind like I should have when I first joined. Like there was so much going on, man. Like there's a new content schedule. I was still grinding, but not to the point where I feel like I should have been grinding, but we were just enjoying it for a while. I moved to Texas, and I'm building a life here, and we're all just sort of hanging out. Definitely a lot more freedom. I would say on some days a little more boring, right? Just because, I mean, competing is one of the more fun things you can do, right?
For sure.
Unless you're going to go on to be a pro athlete or a college athlete, most people only get to compete in something until high school, and once that ends, it's over.
Yeah.
So I had the luxury of competing for over a decade, and like at the highest level. So essentially, it's kind of like our NFL, right? So like there's a quote that athletes die twice, and I do feel like it's the same for esports players, right? Like once you retire, a part of you will always miss it, just because nothing can match that adrenaline, man.
Oh no, nothing will come close again.
I love a good sub train. I love watching a good match, but like nothing will get you you really like your heart pumping, like competing in a high pressure match. It's
Yeah.
just I've been unable to replicate it since, and that's what I miss the most is just that feeling of like the highest form of competition that we were able to you're still doing, but that I was able to do.
Yeah. Nah,
Um,
it's crazy.
so pros and cons, right? Like more freedom, can build my own schedule, right? Can take time to spend time on different things. And as a player, you got to be here at this time, and you're watching VOD and you're
Hmm.
scrimming, and it's very strict, and you kind of owe it to your teammates to be on that schedule. And then
Yeah.
when you're a content creator, you do have a bit more freedom. So, just a lifestyle change. Obviously, blessed to be where I am, right? I think a lot of people dream to be a part of OpTic as a content creator,
Oh,
and
for
I think
sure.
I'm like the first actual new OpTic creator in like forever. I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like if you think about who I'm joining, and I think maybe that's why I do get a bit of flack. It's because I am kind of new blood still. Like everybody else was in the house back years ago, and
Hmm.
Pomage, Bose, Maniac. These are people that people grew up with, and I kind of got thrown right into the mainstream mix of like the biggest products, and I think that kind of rubs some people the wrong way. And yeah, I mean that's just what it is, right? Like it's I'm blessed to be where I'm at is my true thought on it though.
Nah, I feel you. But I feel like also people don't really realize you were probably the closest to like Seth, other than like his direct teammates like Matt back in the day. Like you were always around OpTic. Granted, only like the people that were watching OpTic and really big fans of it back then would like
Yeah.
know things like that. But I don't think people really realize how close you actually are to all of these people on OpTic. Hector, Seth, even Matt when Matt was on OpTic, and then all these other players, Bose, like who you grew up with. So I think people, especially some of the new ones, probably just don't really understand the actual lore behind it. So
Well, I'm a bit of an asshole. So
well,
like
yeah, it's
if
fun to
you
joke
see
around.
if you're a big Scump fan and you don't really know me and you hear the way me and Seth joke around, I can understand why someone be like, wait, who is this guy? But like it's just friends being friends,
Yeah.
and I have gotten better, and I need to be better at I sort of try and direct hate towards me and make a joke out of it. And I think that kind of makes people do it more.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always thought of it as like turning that into like a funny joke or me giving you a funny comeback. And I think that also rubs people the wrong way. It's just, I mean, it's my wish that everybody watched me stream solo and then judge me based off that, because I do feel like then you actually get to know me a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if you're seeing me on the watch party and that's the way you perceive me all the time, you kind of you're kind of psychoanalyzing the way I am in front of 100K viewers, in front of 100,000 chatters, and some know me, some don't. Some like getting under my skin, and a lot of times I'm in like defense, joking mode, and I just wish everyone could actually see me like just stream solo, because
Yeah.
I talk to every viewer in my chat. Like if you come in my chat and you ask me a question or you want to talk about something, I pride myself on being one of the more interactive streamers like on the entire platform.
Yeah.
So I wish everyone could sort of judge me based on that, but that's what it is, man.
Yeah, I vouch for you. I vouch for you. You're a good guy,
Hey,
Zin.
thanks.
From
Thank
knowing
you,
you
Dill.
behind the scenes in public, I could vouch you're a good guy for sure. Everyone,
Thank
go
you,
check
Dill.
out Zin's solo streams if you haven't already. And now like you've been on OpTic for a couple years now, right? 2 years,
2 years in February or March.
Oh, okay. So,
like
what's been like your favorite thing that you got to experience or do just being a part of OpTic?
Oh man, I mean, watching the boys win champs was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, in Texas, that was just that arena was crazy. Getting to go to Italy for the Juventus collab was awesome. Just like a super cool opportunity. I'm actually going there in a week and a half to do something else with Juventus, just me. So I'm looking forward to that.
International
Guy, man, a businessman.
Jet setter.
Yeah, I'm also. This doesn't really count as like being on OpTic, but seeing Seth and Iz get married in Italy was awesome.
Mhm.
That's
Oh yeah, the wedding looked beautiful.
more on the personal side, but obviously it hits a little closer to home now that I'm on OpTic. So that was awesome. We have, I mean, Mavs night, Rangers night. Like we have so many cool things that I get to be a part of, and I definitely have some imposter syndrome a lot of the time around it. It's like I'm like, oh man, these guys want to meet Seth and Hector and they don't want to meet me, man. Like
Yeah.
don't put me in that meet and greet chair because I don't think they want to meet me. So I have some imposter syndrome sometimes, but it's definitely getting a bit better as time goes on. Just a lot of cool collabs and we have a lot of fun, man. We truly do.
Yeah, no, it'd be like that. You're out with Seth, walking around. Someone's like, "Yo, Scum, hey, dude, can you
Yeah.
take a picture of me and Scum?"
Yeah, I'm
You're
like,
like,
bro, I hate taking the photo, man. I'm in Italy walking around. It's me, Courage, Symphony, and Nade Shot, and some guy walks up and knows them three, and I'm just standing there with my girl, feeling like a fucking piece of shit. Like, oh man, babe, he doesn't know me. He doesn't
wait,
know me, babe.
wait, were you at COD Next with us this past year?
Yes, yeah.
Where you went? We were at the dinner, right? Oh yeah. Remember the dinner when they asked to Hitch
Oh,
and
with Tim?
TST? No. The dinner with Hitch and TST were like, oh yeah, those guys like they play for money and professional, and then the waiter's like, so you guys just play for free or like what? Like remember when he
Yeah.
roasted?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the Tim
That
dinner
was
was
hilarious.
crazy too, because like I mean
Bro,
everyone,
that guy gets recognized
yeah,
he's like an A-list celebrity. I was like,
literally
what the fuck? People know Tim everywhere.
everywhere. Multiple people at the restaurant. The little kid comes up to us. He's like, "Hey Tim, hey what?" Talking to everyone, but the little kid was respectful. He's probably what, like 10 years old, 11 years old. He
That
went
kid was
and
awesome.
took a picture with all of us just to make us feel good because he did not
Yeah.
know who we were. He
Yeah,
only
there's
knew
no way.
he only knew like Tim the Tap Man, and but he took a picture with all of us to like make us feel like we are somebodies as well.
Yeah.
That was cool. But yeah, everyone knows Tim. It was crazy.
COD Next was dope. That was a good time
Yeah.
in DC. Me and you were chilling.
That was always fun.
Yeah, man. It's mostly amazing. There's pros and cons, right? Like I always say, like I'm sure Leo DiCaprio wakes up some days and doesn't want to act. Like I'd be lying if I said there are days where I don't want to go live, but it's having the discipline to like
Yeah.
do what you need to do, even on days you don't want to do it. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? It's like
Yeah.
the best gym days are the days that you don't want to go, and those feel the most productive when you leave. So
Oh, for sure. You
it's
never.
not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Like
Yeah.
especially with how saturated the content space is now and how everything's advancing and what's like IRL streams are so popular and everyone's streaming now, I feel like at all times. So there's more competition than ever. And I think it's trying to stand out trying to stand out while also staying true to like yourself and your own content. So
Yeah.
definitely trying to think of more unique ways to stand out and make bigger impacts. Like the 20v1 with Dashy, I thought was awesome. So
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, you need to do more of those.
yeah, more high impact moments like that, I think would be awesome. But need to make sure it's true to my personality and my beliefs. So
Yeah. And now let's
figure it out.
Let's get back to you though, personally. Some of your favorite
up?
things, some special moments
Sure.
to you. If you could go replay one tournament in Call of Duty history that you competed in, what tournament would it be? Or what
Atlanta
match, what tournament?
2018.
Atlanta 2018?
Atlanta 2018 when we won. Oh wait, if I could replay one in my life,
It could be a one you won. Like it could be to relive that moment, or like maybe you want to try and
change
clutch up
something?
again, or like potentially change something. Like which
5-5 versus
would it be?
Thieves again. Give me 5-5 versus Thieves, and I make a different play call, and all things are great.
So that's the one that sticks out in your head the most when you think about like your
I got a
career.
couple. Or 2018 champs with OpTic. We need to win one map versus EG.
Yeah.
Give me the vetoes back again so we can play them on a small map and just fucking demolish them. We played EG on Gibraltar. There's a few. If there's one to relive, it's my 2018 championship, CWL 2018. That was, my first championship.
It's always a special one.
It was just one MVP. I felt like the man. Then to replay, those two moments, and maybe the 1v1 versus Skies, but that one wouldn't have changed.
Yeah,
much.
that one
My team
doesn't.
wasn't.
That's just so it's not a meme.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it didn't really affect anything.
Yeah, 2018 EG or that 5-5 versus Thieves. Let me run those back.
And then, so we have a Toronto event every single year, pretty much. Hopefully, we have another one next season. What would you say are your top 3 favorite food spots to go to in Toronto?
All right, so Italian, you got a place called Sugo, Sugo, no reservations. They also got a restaurant next door named Bar Sugo. Bar Sugo is more like pizza and like some of the small dishes. Sugo, if you can get in, is unbelievable. For vibes, there's a place called Casimoto. They got the nicest rooftop in Toronto, Japanese spot. That place is unreal. And then probably Lee, Lee. It's like an Asian fusion spot, and it is delectable, man. Those cheeseburger egg rolls and I forget how many ingredients the slaw has, but Yeah, Sugo, Kasimoto, and Lee would be my 3 go-tos. But I could
Okay.
go on for days, man.
Oh,
I
no, I'm
mean,
sure you could, but we got to limit
I
it to
got
3.
all the spots.
We got to limit it to 3 because I'm going to be writing those down. I'll be going to all those spots next time we are in Toronto. And one last question from me. What do you think is going to happen this next season? Do you think potentially from what you've seen, what you played, that Black Ops 6 could be one of the best Call of Duties of all time or the best one?
My only worry with Black Ops 6 right now are the maps. I am not sold on the maps so far. I think they one good map for sure, one that I'm kind of on, and a couple that I'm not so high on. If Black Ops 6 has good maps, I do think we could have one of the best Call of Duties ever, and I think it's going to ride on the map. So
Let's go.
we'll see. We'll see.
I think it's going to be the best COD ever, so I'm happy you think there is a chance
You always
too.
think it's the best COD ever.
No. This one's different, though. I'm telling you. This one's different. This one's different.
Okay. I hope so.
I hope so, too. Zinni, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully you had a great
you.
time. A lot of good talks of our history, your history, team changes, diving into content, all of it. Appreciate you
Yeah, it was
coming
like an
on the show, man.
autobiography.
Literally, yeah.
You can't put me. I can't stop talking, bro. If you put me on something like this, I can just spew for days.
Nah, I know you're a busy man. You got other stuff you got to get to. Zin City misses you, so you need to go stream for them. But not
Yes,
for real.
sir.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, Dill, thank you, brother.
If you guys made it to the end, you are real ones. Make sure to check out
Yes, you
all
are.
Methodz streams, YouTube, across
Thank
all
you.
social medias. Will be in the description. So,
Thank you, Dill.
Fat Tony, Zinni, Anthony, Methodz, thank you so much for coming on the show, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, everyone.
Peace,
Peace.